What's going on, guys? Welcome back to NolanTCG, and we are back here today for another month of the OCG recap. So I've managed to find 3 relatively interesting deck lists this month, given that everything's pretty much Terrelament, or things that include a Shizu. I guess one of these things includes a Shizu, but it is rather cute, so bear with me on that one. First off, we do have our danger list, but before we do get into this one, as always, please remember to hit that subscribe button if you are new here, because we are always happy to have new people at the channel. And let's get into this OCG recap. So starting us off, we do have Danger Dark World. With the new Dark World structure deck coming out, we do get a lot more Dark World stuff. And I guess when you mix it with a relatively unchecked Danger package, it's rather cute and it can do a lot of damage in a hurry. And then, yeah, it can just sometimes not be massively fun to play against, but other times it's wildly fun because this is just a gambling deck and it's quite funny. So starting us off, we do have our Dark World package. So we've got 1 copy of Brige, 3 copies of Brow with 2 copies of Cerule. Then for the rest of it, we've got it tucked away down the bottom here. We've got one of the new cards, it's Genta. Then 3 copies of Old School Grapha. Then 3 copies of the other new card, Rainbow, Supreme Overlord of the Dark World. And then we have our 1 copy of Silver, and then 3 copies of Snow after that. Then we do have our Danger line, so we've got 3 copies of Bigfoot, 2 Chupacabra, 2 Mothman, 3 Nessie, 2 Thunderbird, and 1 Tsuchinoku. And we aren't playing the other level 3, we're not playing Jackalope. I guess there's no real need when this is just make big things.turbo deck, and then you just consistently turbo through pretty much your entire list. There isn't really a need for that. Then we have our Spell and Trap cards, so we've got our 1 copy of Card Destruction, 1 copy of Charge into the Dark World, another one of the new cards, Dark World Ascension for the Fusion Summon, 1 copy of Dark World Library, 3 copies of Gates of the Dark World, and 1 copy of Triple Tactics Talent, just for that little bit of utility that you have in here. I'm sure this is like the 40th card, and this can be anything you really want it to be. Then we have the extra decks. We've got 2 copies of the new Big Grapha, the Big Fusion, 1 copy of Coach King Giant Trainer, haven't seen this since Zoo format, then 1 copy of Dingirsu, and 1 copy of Dugaris. Then for our links, we've got 1 copy of Appaloosa with 1 Cross Sheep, 1 IP, the Nightmare package, 1 Cerberus, and 1 Phoenix, 1 copy of News Reporter from the Underworld, a new Link 2, 1 copy of Sayuja, 1 Security Dragon, 1 Underworld Goddess, and 1 of the new World Ocean Dragon, Zelantis. Then for our side deck, this is pretty much floating around in everything in the OCG at the moment. It is our Bisted package of 1 Druid Worm and 3 Magnamut, 1 copy of Pancratops with 3 Lava Golem. 3 Maxi is tucked away in here. That's right, we can't get away from an OCG list without seeing 3 Maxi somewhere. And then 1 copy of Duster and 3 Infinite Impermanence round out the side deck. Okay, and next off we have a relatively interesting list again. Doesn't feature anything Ishizu yet. That's the next list that definitely has Ishizu in it. You've seen the title of the video, you know what it is. But yeah, now we have Pendulum, I guess the new Pendulum cards. This is like a bunch of Dracoslayer. This is also pretty heavy on the Odd Eyes line, which I found quite cute. So for the list for this one, we've got 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Springs with our 1 Astrograph, 3 copies of Dynamite Power Load, 3 copies of Ignis Phoenix, and then 3 copies of Majesty Pegasus, the Dracoslayer. That's for our new Pendulum line. It's a big surprise what we're doing here. Unity Carry is not banned over in the OCG, so we've got our 1 copy of Dragon Buster, the Destruction Sword, 3 copies of Kistralar Fenrir, the Pancratops that's in everything at the moment, 1 copy of Luster Pendulum, the Dracoslayer, with our 2 copies of Magispector Buku. Then for our Odd Eyes line, we've got 1 copy of Phantasma Dragon, 3 copies of Revolution Dragon, 1 copy of Odd Eyes Butler, 1 copy of Odd Eyes Dissolver, 2 copies of Odd Eyes Seer, 2 copies of Pensork, with 3 Skullcrobat Joker, and the 1 Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum Dragon. Then for our Spell and Trap cards, we've got 2 copies of Called by the Grave, 2 copies of Dynamis Charge. Rather cute that he's chosen to still keep the Dynamis Charge in the list. I guess it works, so you just kind of use it. Then 2 copies of Duelist Alliance, and 1 copy of Sky Iris. Then for your extra deck, we've got 1 copy of Dynasty Power, the Mighty Dracoslayer. Rather cute again. The whole Dracoslayer extra deck line's in here. I quite like it. Then we've got 1 copy of Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon with that aforementioned 1 copy of Ignis to Prominence. 1 Abyss Dweller, 1 Zeus, 1 Ascending Dracoslayer, and 1 Hope Harbinger. Then for your links, we've got 1 copy of Access Code with 1 Appaloosa, 1 Beyond the Pendulum with their 1 copy of Electromite, 1 Cross Sheep, 1 Unicorn, 1 Selene, and 1 Union Carrier. Then for the side deck, we've got our 3 copies of Bisted Magnumwood, of course, because you are playing dragons in your main deck, you don't play the other one. With 1 copy of Pank, 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, 2 Dark Ruler, 2 Necro Valley, 3 Regeki, 1 Talents, and 1 Red Reboot round out the list for Pendulum. Okay, and lastly, we do finally see some Ishizu stuff rearing its ugly head. I say ugly head, but we haven't got it here yet to see just how bad it is. It's going to be pretty bad, though. But it is here with Naturia. So we've got Ishizu Naturia. In researching for this as well, I realized there is a lot of Naturia cards. Like, way more than I ever thought there would be. Also, weirdly mixed into this is the archetype that can't decide whether or not it's fairies or beasts, because they're all definitely fairies, and it triggered me when I was opening up so much product that had all this stuff into it. The new support for this, apparently good. So, if you've been picking up these ultra rares, probably good that you did. Then for the list for this one, we do start with our Ishizu stuff. So we've got 1 copy of Agdito, the Ancient Sentry, with our 3 copies of the Ancient Vanguard Kelbeck, 2 copies of Keldo, and then 3 copies of Medora. Then for our, I guess, the hand trap line, we've got 3 copies of Herald of the Orange Light, because all of these little things are fairies, and all of these are fairies, so Orange Light auto-include. 3 copies of Maxi with our 2 copies of Castrela Fenrir. Then for our Naturia line, we've got 3 copies of Camelia, 3 copies of Mole Cricket, 1 copy of Stinkbug, and 1 copy of Sunflower. Then for our Versiphilis, let's just go with whatever words came out of my mouth there. We've got the 1 copy of Vera, 3 copies of Seedlings in Haze, 1 copy of Awakening Forest, and then 3 copies of Flourishing Hills. Do pick these cards up now, because these popped up quite a lot, and they could become just a relatively good engine. You splash in everything, as much as it annoys me that some of these aren't beasts. Then we have our 2 copies of Naturia Spring Breeze for our spells, with 2 copies of Prod of Prosperity, 1 copy of the Gravekeeper's Trap, with 2 Naturia Sacred Tree coming in after that. Then for our extra deck, we've got 1 copy of Kitcalis, of course, because we're playing cherries in here, with our 1 copy of Quandrax, 1 copy of Barkion, and 1 copy of Beast, 1 copy of Che Ying, and 1 copy of Trishula for our Synchros. For our Xyz, we've got 1 copy of Dweller, 1 Zeus, 1 Baguska, 1 Dagaris, and 1 Traptrix Olimeris. Then for our links, we've got 1 copy of Earth Charmer, 1 copy of Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Linkuriboh, and 1 Underworld Goddess. I think that this is here because of the Earth typing. It's the whole reason I think that Cerberus is in this list. I don't know if I like it or not, but hey. Then for our side deck, we've got 1 copy of Alpha Master of Beasts, our Bisted package for the 3rd list today. We've got 1 copy of Druid Worm with 3 copies of Magnumwood. This engine is just so good against Terelement that you've just got to kind of play it at this point. Then 2 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit with 2 copies of Winter Cherries, 1 copy of Bamboo Shoot with 1 copy of Nibiru. Then rounding out the side deck, we've got 1 Called by the Grave, 1 Duster, 1 Lightning Storm, and 1 Triple Tactics Talents. That does wrap us up, though, for our this month's OCG recap. If there are any decks that you want me to try and find from the OCG to bring you lists for, as always, do make sure to comment them down below. And of course, as always, I've been Ben from NolanTCG, and have a good afternoon, everybody.